Hi, my name is Nancy, and I am so thankful that you are here. Today, we're going to be talking about God's plan for me. You know, when I think about God's plan and what it should look like, I begin to think about things that I've already thought about, right? I began to think about all the things that I want to accomplish, the things that I want to do. I'm a person who loves to create spreadsheets. So I begin to predict what's going to happen and look at things and begin to say, by this time we'll be here. And by this time we'll be here. There was no better season than whenever I first got married that I began to say, okay, in a year, we'll have a baby. In another year, we'll have this. And you begin to say all the little different things that you think you should be reaching by a certain time. And what happens is a lot of times we come and we accept Christ and we begin to think we're on this journey with him. And we begin to think, well, he's going to tell me everything that I need to know. We think that it's going to be like a manual that's just given to us or a map that says, like at the mall, right? We go to the mall and we look at it and we begin to find where we are and we begin to look for where we're going and we find our path that we need to take. And with Christ, we think, okay, I've started my journey with Jesus and this is what's going to happen. He's going to come down. He's going to show me a map and say, this is where you are and this is where you're going and this is what's going to happen. But that could not be further from the truth. See, life happens. Things come against us. Things happen. Tragedy happens. There's loss. There's wins. There's great. There's highs and there's lows. But I want to tell you this, that through them all, he is with you, that he doesn't leave your side, that he wants to do life with you. The most important thing that I think we need to do whenever we begin to wonder, well, what's God's plan for my life? I want to say this, it's to be in relationship with him. I love what it says in Jeremiah 29:11. It says, for I know the thoughts and the plans that I have for you, says the Lord. Thoughts and plans for welfare and peace and not for evil, to give you hope in your final outcome. See, what God has for us is good. The plan that he has for our life is good. The plan that he has for your friends and your loved ones and your family, it's a good plan. It's a plan full of hope. And what I think a lot of times happens is we begin to think it should look a certain way. And when we begin to do our journey, if it doesn't look like that, then we think it's not God. See, what I've learned in my journey with God is that he always gives me what I need right where I'm at today. A lot of times we want to get ahead of ourselves. We want to begin to try to reach the very end. When I want to remind you that whenever we do life with Jesus, whenever we're in a relationship with him, it's a day-by-day journey. And, you know, I was just on a run the other day with my husband, and it's hot in Texas. And what happened is we went out, and it was 94 degrees outside. And so at first, I was like, we're doing this. I want to run with you. Let me just tell you this. I'm not a very athletic person, and my husband is like very athletic. But I was just convinced that I would be able to do this run with him. And so we go on this run. We're going. I start out strong. He even told me I was running too fast. And I'm like, no, keep up with me. Come on. And so we're going. Things are going great. And then I begin to just start to be overwhelmed by the heat. I begin to look around and I'm like, I don't even know where we're going. Jimmy, we didn't say how long we're going to run. Where's our destination? He just said, let's go for a run. And so here we are on our journey, on our run. And I began to be overwhelmed. And what happened was I wanted to quit. Like many of us, we begin to go through our life, through our journey, and we want to quit because we're like, well, I don't know where I'm going. It's not looking like what I thought it was going to look like. Things are not aligning the way I thought they would, and we begin to want to quit. And what I love about my husband is as we're going on this journey, he begins to look at me and he tells me, okay, Nancy, this is what we're going to do. We got to reach the end of the street. Just to that point, just go hard, give it all you've got. And when we reach there, we'll take a short break and then we'll take it to the next step. And he just kept telling me, we're just going to take it a step at a time. We're just going to take it a step at a time. And what happens when we're doing our journey with Christ is that's the very thing that he does for us. He tells us what we need to know for the moment that we're in right now. The other thing that he did is he was there to encourage me. As I was wanting to quit, even the short distance that he would give me, I tell him, Jimmy, I can't do this. Jimmy, I'm not strong enough. Jimmy, this is where I stop and you keep going. And he would remind me that I was strong, that I could do this, that I've done this before, and that he was going to be with me the whole way. What Jesus does as we're walking with him is he reminds us that he is with us, that nothing that comes against us can take us down, that we've already got victory over what we're walking through, and that he is there to hold us and to sustain us, that he's not going to leave our side. He reminds us that he who is in us is greater than anything that is coming against us. And so what happens is, as we do our journey, he reminds us of who he is in our life. As we finished our run that day, I didn't cross the finish line struggling. I didn't cross the finish line crawling across. I actually crossed it running hard. And what happened was, the whole journey, Jimmy was there to encourage, to remind me, and to be by my side. That is what Jesus does when we are in relationship with him. He's there to encourage us, to remind us of who he is, and to never leave our side. See, we can overcomplicate it when it comes to the plans that God has for our life. I love what it says in Psalms 37:4. It says, delight yourself also in the Lord, and he will give you the desires and secret petitions of your heart. The desires that are on the inside of your heart, he first placed them there, and he equipped you to fulfill them. So whatever it is that your heart desires, whenever you stop and think, if I could do this, I would go after it. That very thing is probably what you're called to do. We like to think that maybe if I'm not called to ministry, then I'm not really called. Friend, Jesus calls us to be doctors. He calls us to be business owners. He calls us to be teachers. He calls us to be students. He calls us to be truck drivers. Whatever area of life you're in, it doesn't matter. God called you to be there for that very season, for a certain reason. I love what it says in Esther 4:14. It says, and who knows but that you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this, and for this very occasion. I just want to remind you today that it is not by chance or by accident that you are here today. God planned it, he ordained it, and he has a purpose for you to fulfill. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't overthink it. Just begin to do life's journey with him, and he will let you know everything that you need to know as you take this journey with him. Hey, I hope that you learned something today, and I want to say thank you for doing this journey with us.